Okay, these are the notes for 10.6, which are secants, tangents, and angle measures. Okay. With the secants and the tangents, as far as their angle measures go, it all depends on where the angle is that you are trying to find. Okay, but first we need to talk about secants. Okay. We just went over tangents and tangent lines in the last section. Okay, so now we're going to take the tangent lines and we are going to combine them with secant lines. A secant is a line or ray that intersects a circle in exactly 2 points. And the difference between a secant and a chord is that a secant continues on forever. That's why it's a line or a ray. A chord is a line segment, okay? So if you have a secant, okay, you're gonna have a ray. Now a ray starts at one point and goes forever in one direction. So because this ray starts here on the circle and continues forever in one direction, it actually has 2 points on the circle. So that makes it a secant because it goes on forever. With a line, when it goes through like that, okay, it is going through the circle in 2 different directions, so it intersects at exactly 2 points. So that's what also makes it a secant. Now, when you have 2 secants or chords that intersect on the inside of the circle, okay, so these angles are going to intersect on the circle, or I'm sorry, they're going to intersect inside of the circle, okay? So it's on the inside of a circle. Then the measure of the angle that is formed is 1/2 the sum of the measure of the intercepted arcs by the angle and its vertical angle. Okay, here are our vertical angles. Okay, as you know, vertical angles are congruent. So the angle inside, as long as it is not a central angle, you are going to add the intercepted arcs and divide by 2. So if I want to find the measure of angle 1, okay, I have to find this intercepted arc and this intercepted arc. I'm going to add those together and then divide by 2 to get my angle. Okay? If I'm looking to find angle 2, I am going to use these intercepted arcs. Okay? Because angle 2, you have your intercepted arc here and its vertical here. For angle 1, you have its intercepted arc here and its vertical there. Okay, so you're going to find those arc measures, you're going to add them together and divide by 2. Now the beauty about this though, is that if you find one of these measured arcs, okay, if you find this angle here, you can automatically find that one by subtracting it from 180 because it makes a straight line. Okay, so if I want to find out x, right here, okay, I have 2 secants that are intersecting inside of the circle. So to find x, I have to find this measured arc and that measured arc, which they give us, so it makes it easy. So what you're going to do is you're going to take these 2 measured arcs and you're going to add them together. So you got 130 plus 84, so that would give me 214, okay? And then once you add them together, you're going to divide by 2, so you get 107 degrees. So this would be 107 degrees. That would be the measure of that angle inside, okay? On the second example, okay, this time they are giving you the angle that's inside. All right, and we're trying to find the measure of the arc. So with this angle here, we have to use this arc measure and that arc measure to find that angle. So we're going to do x plus 84. Okay, you kind of have to work backwards. All right, I'm just going to set it up where we're taking our measured arcs, adding them together, and dividing by 2 to equal 130 degrees, because that's how you would find the measure of that angle that is inside. So if we cross multiply that, we get x plus 84 equals 260. Subtract the 84. So x equals 176 degrees. So this would be 176. Now, if you wanted to, you could work backwards. Okay, you could take your angle, which is 130, multiply it by 2 to get 260, and then subtract the 84 to get 176. Because essentially what you're doing is you're working backwards. Okay, to find that angle on the inside, we have to add the two arcs together and then divide by 2. So if we're working backwards, we multiply the angle by 2 and then subtract the other measured arc to find the arc that we want. Now, if a secant and a tangent intersect at the point of tangency, okay, here's our point of tangency right here. That red so you guys can see it. There's our point of tangency. We have a secant right here and a tangent that are meeting at that point of tangency. The measure of each angle formed is 1/2 the measure of its intercepted arc. So the angle on the circle is your intercepted arc divided by 2. So for angle 1, this would be our intercepted arc. For angle 2, this would be our intercepted arc. That would be our intercepted arc. Okay? So all you have to do is look at the arc that is made by that angle divided by 2, and you get that measure. Okay? Now remember, a circle is 360 degrees. So if they want you to find angle 1, but they give you this arc measure, you have to subtract it from 360 to find this arc measure before you divide by 2. Okay? So the measure of angle 1, which is here, is going to be 1/2 the measure of AB. And the measure of angle 2 is going to be 1/2 the measure of ACB. All right? So, if I want to find out this angle, okay, this angle is on the circle. All right? So it's going to be 1/2 of its intercepted arc, which is right here. All right, so all I have to do is 100 divided by 2, and you get 50 degrees. Okay? It's that simple. On the other example, okay, we are still trying to find x, which is here. All right, so we have to find the measure of this arc. They give you this measure. So the first thing we have to do is we have to subtract 230 from 360 so that we know that the measure of this arc is 130 degrees. And then we take that 130 divided by 2 to get 65 degrees. So that's going to be 65 degrees. Okay? So if the angle that you're trying to find is made inside of the circle and it's not the central angle, okay, you're going to add the intercepted arcs together, divide by 2. If it is on the circle, you are going to find the intercepted arc and divide by 2. Okay? Now, what happens if it's outside? All right? if two secants, a secant and a tangent, or two tangents intersect on the outside of the circle, okay, the outside of the circle, then the measure of the angle formed is 1/2 the difference of the measures of the intercepted arcs. So you have three different things going on here, okay? If it's inside, you add the intercepted arcs, divide by 2. If it's on, you just find the intercepted arc and divide by 2. And if it's outside, then you find the two intercepted arcs and you subtract them and then divide by 2. Okay? So on this one here, we have two secants. Secant, secant. They intercept on the outside of the circle. So for this one, we have our intercepted arc here, our intercepted arc here. We're going to find those measures, subtract them from one another, and then divide by 2. Make sure that when you are subtracting them, you subtract the smaller number from the bigger number, because you can't have a negative angle. Okay? On the second one, we have a secant and a tangent. Here's our secant, here's our tangent. Okay? So our intercepted arcs are here and here. All right? So we find the measure of these two intercepted arcs, subtract them, and divide by 2. When you have two tangents, you have this intercepted arc here and this intercepted arc here. Okay, again, you find their measures, you subtract them, and you divide by 2. All right? So, on the first one, okay, as an example, okay, we have our two secants. They intercept on the outside of the circle, okay? So, our two intercepted arcs are the 50 and the 100. So I'm going to subtract them. Okay, 100 minus 50 gives me 50. And then I divide by 2 to get 25 degrees. So this angle here is 25 degrees. Okay, on the second one, we have a secant and a tangent. So our two intercepted arcs are the 71 and the 179. Okay, now remember, when you're subtracting these numbers, do not do 71 minus 179, because you will get a negative number. Okay, and you can't do the negative numbers. So we're going to take our bigger number, which is 179, subtract the 71, that gives us 108. And then we divide that by 2 to get 54. So this is going to be 54 degrees. When you have the two tangents, okay, our two intercepted arcs are going to be the 102 and the rest of the circle. Now on this one, remember, a circle is 360 degrees, and both of the intercepted arcs in this case are going to add up to 360 because it includes the entire circle. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to find this intercepted arc. So we take the 360, subtract 102, and you would get 258. So this is going to be 258. All right? Now, once we figure out what that intercepted arc is, now we subtract them. So 258 minus 102, which gives me 156. And then we divide that by 2 to get 108. So this angle here is 108 degrees. Again, if you have any questions on this, feel free to post it in the discussion that is in the folder for this section, and I will get back to you as soon as possible.